What if the lion we all know and revere, the mighty Aslan of Narnia, was more than a character in a fantasy? What if you're a whisper from an ancient truth, a symbol not just for children, but for every soul wandering in search of hope? This is the untold story behind the Lion of Narnia. The story of Narnia begins with 4 children, a wardrobe, and a winter that would not end. But a deeper origin lies behind the snow-covered trees and the talking beavers, behind the Turkish delight and the battles of good and evil. One that C.S. Lewis never fully told, at least not in the words printed on a page. Aslan, the lion, the one true king of Narnia. He appears suddenly and disappears quietly, his presence always felt, but his backstory left shrouded in mystery. Why a lion? Why this lion? Where did he come from before the lamppost lit the edge of the forest? To understand Aslan is to go back, not just to the beginning of Narnia, but to the beginning of belief. Long before the Pevensies stumbled through the wardrobe, long before Janice, the White Witch, cast her eternal winter upon the land, there was no Narnia at all. No trees, no rivers, no talking animals. Just a great emptiness waiting to be sung into form. And yet, that emptiness had a problem. It lacked a heart, a reason, a meaning. There were other worlds, other places formed by magic, accident, or mathematics. But Narnia was to be different. It was meant to breathe love. And for love to truly thrive, it needed more than rules and stories. It needed a soul, and that soul was Aslan. In a place beyond time and space, some call it the wood between the worlds. Others might call it the garden before the fall. A lion walked alone beneath a sky without stars. He was not born. He simply was. He was not a tame lion. He was not created by the story. He was the story. Some say he sang Narnia into existence. Others say his roar stirred the first winds that carried the seeds of life. But before that sacred moment of creation, Aslan was waiting, watching, weighing. He had seen other worlds fade. Worlds where kings rose without honor, where beasts devoured the innocent, where power was worshipped, but mercy was forgotten. Narnia would not be such a world. And so Aslan prepared. He gathered the colors of courage, the fragrance of forgiveness, the warmth of wonder, and with each element he wove the fabric of a land where the greatest strength would be found not in swords, but in sacrifice. But even as he began, shadows stirred, for where there is great light, darkness always follows. Jadis was not born in Narnia. She came from a world consumed by its own ambition, Charn, a place where she spoke the deplorable word, erasing every life except her own. When she stumbled into the newborn light of Narnia, she saw it not as a miracle, but as an opportunity. She whispered into the hearts of creatures, promising endless winters, safety from change, protection from pain. She froze time not just with magic, but with fear. Aslan watched, not with anger, but with sorrow. He could have roared her away, struck her down before the first snowflake fell. But he knew that the heart of Narnia needed something deeper than protection. It needed a choice. Love, after all, is not love if it is forced. And so he waited, watching again, letting winter come, trusting that spring would be chosen, not commanded. When Peter, Susan, Edmund, and Lucy entered Narnia, they weren't just children, they were mirrors. Lucy's innocence, Peter's courage, Susan's reason, and Edmund's weakness. Each reflected a part of every viewer, every reader, every heart. Aslan knew they would come. He did not bring them, he simply opened the way. For the lion works not through control, but invitation. And so he met them, not as a ruler on a throne, but as a gentle guide in the forest. The first time Lucy saw him, her eyes widened, not from fear, but recognition. Not of face, but of feeling. Aslan made them feel safe and known. And yet, not even he could stop the betrayal. Not even the lion could prevent the Turkish delight from tempting Edmund. Not even he could erase the ancient laws written in the deep magic. A sacrifice had to be made. A price had to be paid. This is the moment the world turned. Not when swords clashed, not when the White Witch screamed, but when the lion lay silent, bound, beaten, muzzled. Aslan walked willingly to the stone table, offering himself in place of the traitor, not because he was weak, but because he was strong enough to let go. There is a kind of magic deeper than any spell, one that lives not in power, but in surrender. The witch did not understand it. She saw only victory, but the lion knew what she had forgotten, that when the innocent dies for the guilty, death itself begins to unravel. And so when the dawn came and the table cracked, when Aslan rose again, greater and brighter than before, it was not just the lion who came back, it was hope. Many have asked why Lewis chose a lion. Why not a wise, bold man, or a great eagle, or a shining star? But here's the secret. Aslan was not chosen, he is. To Lewis, Aslan was not fiction, but a reflection, a way to imagine what Christ might look like in another world. Aslan is what happens when eternal truth meets childlike wonder. He is not safe, but he is good. He is not tame, but he is love. And the most wondrous part? He walks in our world too, not with paws and fur, but in every act of mercy, in every stand for justice, in every quiet moment when courage whispers, "Come further up, come further in." The Lion of Narnia was never just a character in a story. He was a door, a signpost, a quiet invitation. In every child who has read those books by candlelight, in every adult who tears up when Aslan breathes life back into the statues, he lives on, not in myth, but in memory. Not in the fairy tale, but in faith. Because in the end, Aslan doesn't belong to Narnia alone. He belongs to all of us. To every heart waiting for the snow to melt. To every soul who dares to believe in second chances. If this story touched you, share it. Let someone else hear the lions roar in the stillness of their struggle. Revisit the books. Read them aloud to someone you love. Or better yet, live the kind of story Aslan would be proud of. Stand for what's right, even when it costs you. Speak the truth, even when it trembles your voice. And when the winter seems long, wait for the lion. He's never late. They say that one day, Aslan will roar for the last time, and the worlds will fold like pages in a book. But that's not something to fear, because every ending is just the beginning of a new chapter. And when that day comes, we'll run to him. Not because we must, but because we've always known. The lion was waiting for us all along.